Hi everyone, it's Shannon and welcome to today's video. So ever since I started posting a lot of videos on Royal Caribbean and our cruises, and especially after our most recent cruise where we got an upgrade to a grand suite, I have been getting a lot of questions of how did you get that upgrade? And the answer is RoyalUp. So that is what we're going to talk about today. So RoyalUp is the name of the upgrade bidding program that Royal Caribbean uses to allow guests an opportunity to bid for an upgrade on their upcoming cruise. Usually the bidding opens up between 30 to 60 or 75 days. I've heard everything. My most recent cruise that we're going on, or the one we have coming up, it opened up at 60 days, which I think that was the earliest I've ever gotten the email allowing us to upgrade, but it varies. Some people don't get an email until 30 days, and some have gotten it like even, I think 75 days was the one I heard even more. So it can really vary, but just know that that is the program that RoyalUp uses. Now, I think Norwegian uses the same program. It is a third party, and the company is called Plusgrade, and they do it. So it's not run by Royal Caribbean, and that's important for a couple reasons. But it's not done by Royal Caribbean. It is outsourced, and it's by the company Plusgrade. And I think they do a lot of biddings with airlines, and then they also do for Norwegian Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean. So that's kind of the overview of what RoyalUp is. Now, the important thing to know with RoyalUp is that it's not guaranteed to happen, and more likely than not, it's not going to happen. Now, obviously, right now, ships are sailing not at full capacity, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get an upgrade. But that's something to consider. Now, I had participated in RoyalUp before the shutdown and didn't get a stateroom. So we didn't get an upgrade, and we were fine with that. We had booked a cabin that we wanted. So that's the most important thing. When you are booking your stateroom, book the stateroom that you want, that you will be happy in, and don't think that you're going to get a RoyalUp, even if the ship is at 25% capacity. So that's something very, very important to consider. Book the cabin and stateroom that you want, and then if you can get a RoyalUp and you get an upgrade, even better. Now, which categories you can bid on also depends on what kind of stateroom you have booked. So for example, when my son and I sailed on the Freedom of the Seas in July, we were able to RoyalUp. We booked an inside guarantee, we got assigned our stateroom, and we were able to RoyalUp into a balcony stateroom. And I will tell you, anybody that did a RoyalUp on that sailing, because that sailing was only 25% capacity, anybody that did a RoyalUp bid up to a balcony, whether they were in an interior or an ocean view, they got it. At least the people that I know on our Facebook group, on Cruise Critic, everybody got the RoyalUp. Again, that was a rare occasion just because the ship was at 25% capacity. But I had booked an interior stateroom. The only categories I was able to bid on were the spacious ocean view, the spacious interior stateroom, the spacious ocean view, and then a balcony. That was it. I wasn't able to go from an interior to the Royal Suite. I wasn't able to even bid on a junior suite. So the max level that I was allowed to bid on was a balcony stateroom. Now, for the cruise that we have coming up on the Odyssey in March, we were originally booked in a spacious ocean view stateroom, one without a balcony. However, the price, and at that point I had gotten the RoyalUp, and we were able to bid up to a junior suite. So I was able to bid on a balcony and a couple different categories of balcony, and then a junior suite. That was as high as I could go. Then the prices dropped. However, it was cheaper for us to go into a balcony guarantee. Actually, we saved $500 by upgrading to a balcony guarantee, and we got $500 back, and then we weren't on ocean view. You know, that just sometimes happens. So we actually got $500 back. We upgraded to a balcony guarantee, and then we were able to adjust our bids for RoyalUp, and we were able now to upgrade up to, or bid up to, a grand suite 2 bedrooms. So the choices we have right now are a balcony with a large balcony. So over ocean view, large balcony. I don't know, that's some category, but it's basically a larger balcony. a junior suite, a grand suite 1 bedroom, and a grand suite 2 bedroom. So that's as high as we can go being in a balcony stateroom right now. There's also an owner suite, loft suite. There's a couple others. We can't go that high. The max we can go is grand suite. Now, some people that I know that are booked in a junior suite are able to bid all the way up to the royal suite. So it just really depends. Like you're not going to book an interior stateroom and be able to bid on the royal suite. They kind of max it out depending on what category you book. And just like booking a guarantee, getting a RoyalUp, you don't get to pick your stateroom. So that's something to really consider. If you are someone that's prone to seasickness and you want to be midship and you hate the aft or you hate being all the way forward, then don't do RoyalUp. Or if you've picked your stateroom or you've gotten a stateroom and you like your assignment, then maybe you don't want to do RoyalUp. So we did do a guarantee, and sometimes I've had bad luck with that, but our stateroom right now is actually perfect for us. It's midship, it's between the 2 elevator banks, and we're on the same deck as the Adventure Ocean, which is perfect for us because we know we're going to be dropping and picking up our son quite a bit at Adventure Ocean. So that is a really great location for us. So originally I was able to book our bid on the spacious ocean view large balcony, and then junior suite, grand suite 1 bedroom, and grand suite 2 bedroom. I am now contemplating taking away the spacious balcony because that could get me a location that's not as desirable, and all we're going to get is a larger balcony. Now, a larger balcony is nice. However, if it's in a less desirable location, how much am I going to really enjoy that? So right now my bid is still open, but I'm contemplating taking that out. Now, as far as the other suites, the junior suite, the grand suites, we're definitely going to be keeping them because we would really appreciate even if it was in a less desirable location, which suites are usually pretty good, but even if it was a less desirable location, I'll take the space in a room any day. So that's something to really consider. If you're happy with your current relocation of your stateroom, make sure, maybe you don't want to do RoyalUp because you can't choose. Also, when you get your RoyalUp, you're done. You can't say, you know what, I don't want it, give me back my old stateroom. Because once you get the RoyalUp, you've paid for it, and you know what, your old stateroom is probably gone. Now, when my son and I sailed on the Freedom in July, we did get the RoyalUp for a balcony, and I didn't think anything of it. I was just so excited to be back on a ship. But when I got into the room, I realized this room didn't have a sofa bed. It had a Pullman, and it had a chair because it was a connecting stateroom. So it had a chair that did not pull out, and the only second bed was the Pullman. So my son was afraid of the Pullman, and honestly, I wanted to sleep and I didn't want my helicopter child who kicks me all night in bed with me. So that was kind of an issue. Now I went to guest services, I explained, and I didn't ask for anything. I said, is there any way to get another stateroom? Like, I was just looking to be moved to a stateroom that had a sofa bed. They ended up upgrading us into a junior suite. That was not what I asked for. I was very, very thankful, but that was not what I asked for. But I was very lucky. I was very, very lucky. And the only reason why I was lucky was because the ship was at 25% capacity. Honestly, that probably wouldn't happen right now because the ships are sailing out, I think, at close to 75% capacity at this point. So, and then they're aiming to get to 100% of capacity soon. So don't do that to try and get an upgrade. I didn't do it for that. I didn't know that. I thought every stateroom had a pull-out sofa. So lesson learned. And fortunately for us, it worked out, but it may not have, and I may have been stuck in that stateroom, and it would have been a hard lesson learned, but it was my own fault. So keep that in mind where, again, you just don't know what you're going to get. I was so nervous getting our stateroom assigned for our upcoming Odyssey sailing, and fortunately I did look and I was able to confirm that it does have a pull-out sofa. So even if we don't get a RoyalUp, we have a pull-out sofa in our current stateroom. Now, I did already mention that the RoyalUp program is managed by Plusgrade, which is a third-party company. So recently I mentioned that we upgraded our stateroom from a ocean view to a guaranteed balcony, and we had already had bids in the works for RoyalUp. Now, I went ahead and canceled them because what happens is also, depending on your category, also depends on the minimum bid. So the minimum bid when I was in an ocean view stateroom, the minimum bid for a junior suite was $100. So $100 per person. And that take so too. So basically, I would have had to pay $200 if I had won that bid. Now, when you upgrade or when you move up to, into another stateroom, your minimum bid usually goes down. So currently in a balcony, my minimum bid for a junior suite is $30 per person, which is a huge difference. So that's something to also take into consideration. Now, with that said, it took, I want to say, 5 or 6 days for the Plusgrade system or the RoyalUp page to be updated with our current category. So for several days, I kept checking and it kept saying that I was in a spacious ocean view, and it just had the current, the previous minimum bids, and basically I could only bid on balconies or the junior suite. So it took about 5 or 6 days before it was upgraded. And that's because the information from Royal Caribbean has to be sent to Plusgrade. So just keep that in mind, that if you change your category, your booked category for any reason, it is going to take 4, 5, maybe even 6 days for Plusgrade to get that information for your new bid categories to populate, as well as your new minimum bids. And that minimum bid is also going to change, especially if you upgrade. So like I said, we went from ocean view to a balcony, and our minimum bid for a junior suite dropped, as well as we could now bid on a grand suite 1 bedroom and a grand suite 2 bedroom. Now, the one question everybody asks, and once you place a bid, everybody's going to ask this, and you're probably going to ask it yourself, is when do they award bids? And the honest answer is it's all random. When I placed our bid for our 2-night cruise, at that point, it really hadn't sold very much. So we got our bids, I placed the bid, and within 24 hours, I could see that the bid for the Grand Suite was accepted and the Junior Suite had now been expired. So usually what will happen is if you have more than one bid and one is possibly going to be awarded, all your bids will be placed as expired, and then the one that you're most likely going to win is still pending. And that's what happened to me both on the Freedom Cruise as well as the one that we did on the Grand Suite on the Freedom in February. So it happened both times. Now, I have heard it happening where that's happened and then they all go back to pending. So it can change. So don't think that that is a lock that it's going to happen, but it's a really good sign that it's likely going to happen. So for both times that happened for us. Now with the one in July, I saw it on, I think on Monday, and we were leaving on Friday. I saw it Monday that it was pending and everything else was expired. I didn't get the notice like, congratulations, you got your RoyalUp, until Thursday night at 7:30 at night, the night before we left. So it took, almost 4 full days before we were notified and it was charged. But if you're charged and, the cabin will change in your planner or your Royal Caribbean app, so all of that will happen. But until you're charged and until your room number changes, then it still may not happen. But it's a really good sign if it says pending and all the other ones are expired. And again, with our sailing that we did in February, I booked the cruise as soon as I got the RoyalUp email, which was probably about 2 or 3 days after we booked. Then I got the RoyalUp email, and within 24 hours of placing my bids, I noticed that the Grand Suite was pending and the Junior Suite was expired. And then within about 48 hours of that, I was charged and I got the email. So that one was pretty quick. It was really quick as far as getting the bid. But again, I think that was a rare instance because that sailing was pretty open at that moment. It did end up filling up closer to the sail date, but at that point it was pretty empty. So again, it can go any way. Now, something that has recently changed is, and this is something that I'm hearing, so I can't say for sure, but this is reports that we've heard from the Odyssey, and that this is going to happen fleet-wide, is that bids used to be expire. I think you could change them up to 48 hours before your sailing, and then you would be notified within 24 hours of your sailing if it was awarded. That has since changed. Now it says you have you can change your bid up to 3 hours before you set sail, which means you could have checked in, be on the ship, and I want to say it's around 2:30, 3 o'clock, where you can change your bid up until that point, and then there are awarding people after you are on board that first day of embarkation. So you may not find out you won your RoyalUp until 8 o'clock that night. You may already be in your original cabin and then be told, hey, you're being moved to here. And remember, you can't decline a RoyalUp. Once you have it, you have it. Now, I'm thinking those instances are probably going to be few and far between. I think they're going to try and award those award RoyalUps earlier and before people set sail, but I think they're keeping it open so that if people, for whatever reason, they don't make it into port, they test positive for COVID, anything that would cause them to miss the ship, especially of someone in a royal suite or someone in a grand suite or a loft suite, they're opening up and keeping those RoyalUps open so that they can award them if somebody doesn't show up. And there's probably a couple reasons why that is happening. And what we're hearing is that guest services was being bombarded on embarkation day with requests for upgrades. And upgrades were usually because they would give you okay, the upgrade from a balcony to a junior suite is going to be this, it's going to be this. And it's usually cheaper than what you would have paid if you had just paid the rate. And I noticed on our last 2 sailings on the Freedom that on embarkation day, that guest services line was crazy long. You normally see it long on the last day because people are kind of, figuring out their bill, but not so much on the first day. And the line was just really long, and you have people in message boards saying, just go to guest services and ask for an upgrade. And what we're hearing is that basically they've just been bombarding guest services, so now they're extending the RoyalUp time frame to include the first day. So how we're handling that is we have 4 categories that we are currently bidding on. Like I said, the spacious balcony with a large balcony, or spacious balcony with a large balcony, the junior suite, grand suite, 1 bedroom, grand suite, 2 bedroom. I don't mind moving the first night if we are unpacked and they say, hey, you got a junior suite. I will gladly pack and move to a junior suite because it's just going to be more comfortable for our 6-night cruise. However, I don't want to pack up and move for the same size room and just a larger balcony. So I will probably, if we keep that bid for the large balcony stateroom, I will probably cancel that bid closer to sailing date if nothing's won, because I don't want to run the risk of getting awarded while we're on board, having to pay for it and having to move when we've already unpacked. But again, I don't mind moving for a junior suite or especially a grand suite, but for a room the same size and just a larger balcony, it's just not worth my time. So as I stated, it's a third-party company, and I can tell you, no one knows the algorithm. I'm pretty sure whoever works for the company has not released how they do it, and everybody kind of guesses, and I've kind of made some guesses too. So here are some observations. Now, these are just my personal observations on the 3 cruises that I've done since the shutdown. So since July 2021 until February 2022. And that is, again, it's only 3 sailings, all on the same ship, so I could be completely wrong, but this is what I've noticed. So when we were on the Freedom in July, we had a pretty large group on Facebook, and the RoyalUps were coming, and they were awarding the larger staterooms first. So somebody that had a junior suite, they were getting their grand suite or owner suite first, and then it kind of trickled down. So people that were in a balcony were then being moved up into a junior suite. So you kind of saw hey, I got my RoyalUp, I'm now in an owner suite. And then the next day someone was like, I'm in a grand suite. And then the next day somebody was saying, I got my RoyalUp, I'm in a junior suite, and so on and so forth. So they kind of went down the line. So with mine, my highest category that I could bid on was a balcony. However, that was 1, not the category that I bid the highest, and 2, it was not my most desirable category. I actually would have preferred being in an ultra spacious ocean view or one of those spacious interior rooms like the one I was in January. That would have been more desirable because it had a little bit more space. It had a dedicated bunk bed for my son. So that would have been more desirable. And in fact, I bid considerably more for those staterooms than I did for the balcony. The balcony, I did a minimum bid. I want to say it was like $15 per person, which made it $30. So it was ridiculously cheap. But I did bid a lot more money on the ones for the ultra spacious ocean view and spacious interior. However, because those are an ocean view and interior, they are below a balcony. So it went down the line, and since the balcony is the higher category, one was available, that was the one I was awarded. So had I got to do it again, I would not have bid on a balcony. I would have only bid on a spacious or ultra spacious ocean view, spacious ocean view, or anything below the interior or the ultra spacious interior. There are so many different names, but those were the categories. I probably would not have bid on the balcony because I wanted just more space, not necessarily a balcony. So just keep that in mind as far as noticing, which is your most desirable. Now, right now, my most desirable would be the Grand Suite 2-bedroom. Absolutely. So there's no problem. That's not going to affect me, but just kind of keep that in mind. Don't think that they're just going to take your highest bid. That's not necessarily the case. They're going to take the one that's the highest category. And that's what I noticed. I could be wrong, but that's what noticed. And that's what happened to me. And also in terms of when things are awarded, I've noticed that with all 3 sailings, now for the sailing that we did in January, we did not try for RoyalUp. And that was because we were booked in the spacious interior stateroom, which was the stateroom we wanted, and we weren't moving. So we did not bid. But I did notice in my group, again, I've been a Facebook group for all 3 sailings, was that when RoyalUps are awarded, they kind of are awarded in groups. So they will all be awarded kind of in a same 2 or 3 day time span. So if you're in a Facebook group for your sailing, start a RoyalUp thread to say like, hey, this is the RoyalUp thread. Let us know if your RoyalUp is awarded. So that way you can kind of keep track. But there really is no rhyme or reason. Some are awarded early on, right away, and then some are awarded the day before or even the day of the sailing. So just keep in mind as far as when they might be awarded, but they do tend to be awarded, at least I've noticed, kind of in groups. Now with my current sailing, I did compare with others who were also booked in a balcony guarantee, and all of our minimum bids were the same. So I think for a spacious ocean or the spacious ocean view balcony or large balcony, it was like a $15 minimum bid. And then for a junior suite, it was $30. So all of us had the same minimum bid, and that we were all booked in the same category. So that just depends. So, that could be different, but a lot of people says, oh, it depends on what you pay. I don't know. I don't really think that. I personally don't think it really depends on what you paid. I think it depends on what category you're booked in. And the reason why I say that is because it is an outsourced company. And I don't think an outsourced company is going to know what each and every single person paid. I think they're just going to know what category you're booked in and then what you've bid on in those categories. So that's my personal belief. However, I could be wrong. But again, no one really knows. Now, if you are moved up in RoyalUp to a junior suite, grand suite, whatever, you do get the perks of being whatever category while you're on board. So a junior suite doesn't get as many perks. It's kind of not a full suite. So you do get some, but not everything. A junior suite, you do get the suite lounge, and depending on which type of ship you are on, there could be coastal kitchen. There's a lot of different perks. So you do get whatever perks are available to someone in a suite when you are royaled up. They don't know. My concierge did not know that we got our stateroom in a RoyalUp. So that makes no difference. The only thing you don't get are the extra cruise credits. So the points towards your Crown and Anchor Society, you don't get double. So if you book a junior suite or above, you get double points. That does not happen when you get a RoyalUp. So just keep that in mind. So right now we are booked in a balcony. So we are only getting the balcony mounted points. When we got our grand suite, we had booked a balcony. We only got 2 points each because it was a 2-night cruise. We did not get 4 because we were awarded a grand suite. So keep that in mind. You only get the Crown and Anchor points that or on the stateroom you originally booked. However, everything else as far as perks on board the ship are included. But that also means you got to pay the extra gratuities. So if you prepaid gratuities, know that you will also be charged not only your bid amount, but also extra gratuities. So if there's a genie or anybody else in your, of people that are mandatory or suggested tips, that's automatically going to be added if you prepaid your gratuities. Also, I don't think I kind of mentioned this, but the bids are based on 2 people. So even if you have 4 people in your stateroom and it says $50 per, and you bid $50 per person, you're only paying for the first 2 people in the stateroom. So whatever you bid, just double it. I don't know why they just don't give you a basic number. I guess maybe they think that if you say it's 100, then you're not gonna really care that it's 200. I don't know, but I kind of wish they just kind of made it one number, but it is. It's just basically double whatever you bid because you're paying for the first 2 people. That also means if you are one person and you are traveling solo, you still have to pay for 2. Now, something also important to mention is that not everybody can participate in the RoyalUp program. If you book directly through Royal Caribbean, you can participate, I would say typically. I haven't heard of anybody that's booked through Royal Caribbean who hasn't been able to. But if you book through a travel agent, they can opt out of the program, or maybe they have to opt in. I'm not sure which one it is, but I know not all travel agencies opt into the program. The big one that is usually we hear about on Facebook or on message boards is Costco. So if you book your cruise through Costco Travel, you're not going to be able to RoyalUp. I am a Costco member. I will never book a cruise through Costco Travel. The main reason is, I like my travel agent. But the other reason is I like the opportunity to bid. I book the cabin that I know we're going to be happy in, but I like the opportunity to possibly get an upgrade. So I will always want to be able to bid or have that opportunity. So whatever, gift card or whatever you get to Costco for me is not worth it. Now for some people, they don't really care. But I know most people that they're like, I don't know why I can't access the RoyalUp. And it's usually like, did you book through Costco Travel? Yes. Well, they don't participate. I'm sure there's other travel agencies that don't participate as well, but the one that we most hear about often is Costco. So I think that's it on everything RoyalUp that I wanted to talk about. Now, there's a whole section on RoyalUp on the program. I'll post a link below. There's a whole frequently asked questions on there that can answer all questions. Like is it refundable? No, it's not refundable unless you cancel your booking. So stuff like that, all of that is on the website. I will post the link below so you can go to there. I just wanted to share personally my personal experience and some things that I learned. Like you may end up with a stateroom that doesn't have a pull-out sofa, even though you might need one. And so things like that, I think are very important. And also I kind of feel like they're going to go with your highest category. So if of stateroom in the highest category you booked or is available or you bid is available, then that's the one you're going to be awarded, even if that's not the one you placed the highest bid for. So those are things that I noticed that I wanted to share with all of you. Also, if you haven't received an email and your sailing's within 30 to 60 days, there is a link that I will post below. What you'll need is your reservation number and the last name of the main person on the reservation. You'll input that in and it will tell you whether or not if bids are available or if bidding is open for your sailing. And if it will usually say, is your sailing, if you're not eligible, like let's say you're at Costco Travel, it'll say is your sailing within 30 days. So, but just keep checking. That's how you can check. And then you can also monitor your bid. Just all you have to do is go back to the bidding page. And like I said, I look at my bids pretty much like several times a day, probably. I get a little obsessive to see if any of them are expired, to see if, maybe one of them might be accepted. So I will post that link below so that you can look, but as well as the RoyalUp information. And the Royal Caribbean blog has a lot of information, both on his blog and his YouTube channel about RoyalUp. So probably a lot more information. But again, I just wanted to share my personal experience. And then also as far as bidding, bid what you think it's worth. So, right now, a lot of staterooms are going for minimum bid. We got the minimum bid for that grand suite. I got the minimum bid for the balcony in in July. So there's a lot of times you're getting it for minimum bid. But if the sailing's full, minimum bid's probably not going to make it. So you may need to bid more. So right now we kind of figured, okay, we got $500 back for our stateroom that when we upgraded. So I'm bidding up to $500 on the 2 grand suites because I feel like that was money we were planning on spending for the sailing anyway. So I figured like it's a wash because I was going to pay that for an ocean view. I'll gladly pay it for a grand suite. So you just have to figure out what it's worth to you, but then also check the prices because the prices sometimes go down, especially when you're bidding on an ocean view. It might just be cheaper to upgrade to an ocean view than to win a RoyalUp bid. So those are things you also need to monitor. But if you have any questions or if there's anything I didn't cover, please leave it in the comments below. I'll happily answer your questions or maybe even possibly do another video. So with that, if you like this video, click like, click and subscribe. That way you get a notification every time I post a new video. Bye everyone.